It's Wednesday. Welcome into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jabara here with Jared Smith. There's a lot going on today, Gerard, because we got Stanley Cup Final Game 1 between the Tampa Bay Lightning and my Colorado Avalanche. But before we get started with all of our picks for Better Up and golf for the U.S. Open, your baseball bets were absolute fire last night. And I had a couple bets myself as well.
Yeah, I saw JD Martinez went yard. That's good news for you. Gonsolin, I watched that Dodgers-Angels game. You got a little unfortunate there. He was pitching in the 6th inning, and he needed one more strikeout, and he just got a little bit of a quick hook by Dave Roberts.
But right there. And again, Molly hit. My
Tyler, is it Molly or Maley? I can never pronounce his name right. He was unbelievable last night.
Yeah. He killed it. But you hit 3 props on the same guy.
I bet the triple play. We got a triple play last night on Logan Webb, who was fantastic. Nailed a strikeout prop, got over his outs prop by the hook, and the hits prop by the hook as well. But he was really never in danger of losing the hits prop. It was like he gave up 2 hits in like the last inning of work. And at that point, I knew if he gave up another hit, he was going to get taken out of the game. He gave up the hit that got him to 5. And then he got pulled right at 5.5, so we stayed under there. We hit our play of the day with Dane Dunning's walks. We hit the NRFI at Coors Field. We'll get to YRFI, of course, a little bit later. But how about this? We hit another walk this way.
Talk this way.
That's what I need. A nice parlay, juicy, plus 340, 350. I forget the exact number, somewhere in that range. 342. And listen, we've hit 3 out of 11 now. I mean, we're up, almost 2 units, up 35% ROI. I definitely like the walk props more than the other props that the pitchers offer. And we're going to keep having fun with them. So we'll see if we can top that today. It's going to be tough to top that today for sure, but we're going to give it a go.
I have 2 more pitcher props heading into today. We have some golf. We're talking the U.S. Open, having Diane Knox Balas on the show. Then we're giving out our NHL Ice Picks because we got Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Then we're chatting a little NBA, little futures action because we got that game tomorrow. We actually have Brian Scalabrine on the show tomorrow to break it all down. He was there in person, what he saw. The Game 6 is back in Boston tomorrow night. So we have a lot to talk about today. Let's get right into it. Let's bet it. Better Up, YRFIs and NRFIs. Yesterday, the no runs first inning went 9-7. For the season, the yes runs first inning are 467 and 461. Now, the Coors Field taking it out to Denver, where we have a really good game going on tonight, obviously, with the Stanley Cup Final. I can't say it enough times. But the NRFI hit last night at Coors Field, and it's moving into positive territory for the season. The yes run first inning at Coors Field is 18-15, but minus 3.63 units. Notable streaks: New York Mets, yes run first inning, 8 of the last 9. Now, Jared, I know you're putting that streak and your personal 7-game YRFI streak to the test tonight. Tell me a little bit more about how you're doing that.
I mean, if you count the NRFI at Coors Field last night, I have hit 8 consecutive run first inning bets. The streak will end at some point.
And we're definitely counting, that's for sure.
Of course I'm counting. I count everything. It's an obsession. It's a gift and a curse. I think I found a good spot for us tonight. And again, when you talk about the Mets, you talk about a team that I think, other than maybe the Angels or maybe the Blue Jays, maybe the best, or maybe the Yankees right now, because they're hot. Earlier in the year they weren't, but now they are the best first inning run scoring teams in baseball. The Mets have been fantastic. They have the highest YRFI rate in baseball at 60%. They've scored in 24 out of their 38 YRFIs. So they have 38 YRFIs out of 63 games, 60.3%. And they've scored in 24 of them. It's the 3rd highest scoring rate in baseball. Tonight, though, they face Corbin Burnes. That's why we're getting such a favorable price here at plus 115. We all know Corbin Burnes, reigning NL Cy Young winner. But his stuff hasn't been top notch like it was last year. It's still really good, and he's having a very good season. But his expected FIP in the first inning is over a run higher than his actual FIP, 1.7 to 2.9. And when you look at Corbin Burns overall, I think we've seen a little bit of regression. So I think the number here, plus 115, not fully reflecting that. On the other side, David Peterson has not been great, coming off a dismal start in his last outing. He is 5-1 to the NRFI this season, but he's got a 16% walk rate in the first inning, and his expected FIP, 5.28, much higher than his actual FIP, 4.3, in that opening frame. So I think we are getting a little bit of positive value here to the YRFI. The Brewers' offense, nothing to write home about, but they're above average this year in first inning run scoring rate, 30%. And they've scored in 4 out of their last 8. 6 of those last 8 have been YRFIs. So again, the Brewers offense hasn't been, gangbusters this year, but they're trending in a positive direction. And the Mets offense has been fantastic. Great matchup for them tonight against Corbin Burns. This is going to be a good game, period, because the Brewers obviously have playoff World Series aspirations. The Mets are first place team. Corbin Burns, reigning Cy Young winner, on the mound in New York. Fantastic game. I'm excited to be on the YRFI tonight at plus 115 between the Brewers and the Mets.
Yes, run first inning. Let's see those runs, baby. You love to see it. Okay, we both have quite a few pitching props tonight. I have 2 strikeout props. You have a couple walk props and an out prop. I'll let you go first because we don't have a walk this way parlay today. I'll get my strikeouts, and then we'll bring in Diane Knox Balas to talk a little golf after that. So hit me with your out and walk props.
Walk this way. Yeah, we're taking a break. Now, we've hit 2 out of the last 3 nights. So, again, I like betting parlays. These parlays, they're fun. But I didn't see a third option that I really liked today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be patient. Just like yesterday with the YRFI board. I didn't see a YRFI I liked yesterday. We stayed off of it. And I feel the same way about the parlay tonight. But we do have some props for you. It's not like we're going to leave you empty-handed here on the show. I am targeting the same game, both pitchers to go over their walks prop. And I'll tell you my reasoning behind that. And then, of course, the stats that back up these picks. So let's start with the Yankees pitcher, Nestor Cortes, over 1.5 walks. This is plus 140. Now, again, you're getting a really good number here. Reason why: we're going against a trend. He's only gone over 1.5 walks in 36% of his starts this year, 4 out of 11. He had 1 walk against the Rays back on May 26th, very short time ago, less than a month ago. So he's now facing this same team for the second time in about 3 weeks. That is significant because the last time he did that against a divisional opponent was earlier this year against the Blue Jays. He had 0 walks in his first start of the season against Toronto back on April 12th. A few weeks later, May 4th, faced them again. He walked 4 batters. So I like the idea of the team facing that pitcher for the second time in a short span and to be a little bit more patient with their approach at the plate. Now let's go to the other side. Shane McClanahan, plus 115 for his over 1.5 walks prop. So again, the Yankees, this is a little bit more of a matchup play. The Yankees have a very high walk rate, highest in baseball over the last 7 days at over 11%. And the fact that this is a pitcher's duel kind of matchup, Cortes has had an amazing season. McClanahan is the ace of the Rays staff. And this is a divisional game, a very important rivalry matchup between 2 teams that have basically been in the postseason each of the last few years. I like the idea of this being a patient, grind out at bats, try to drive up the other aces pitch count. McClanahan's hit rate has been about 50% on this mark if you widen the sample size, 47% to be exact, 18 of his last 38. So at plus 115, I feel like we're getting a fair price, but I think what pushes this over for me is the approach that both teams are going to be taking, trying to get the other team's ace, or in the Yankees, point, I guess their second ace behind Garrett Cole, out of the game. So that's where I'm at. Both of these are plus money. So if we hit one, we're going to go, positive for the night. So Cortes over 1.5 walks, McClanahan over 1.5 walks. Let's get some walking in the Bronx tonight.
I love it. I'm actually on a Shane McClanahan prop as well. I just love saying the name McClanahan. McClanahan. It's just fun, right? It rolls off the tongue. I'm on his strikeout prop, actually. Over 6.5 Ks, only laying 16 cents for it. I freaking love this guy. I mean, he struck out 998 batters over 72 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's gone over 6.5 Ks in all but one of his starts so far this season. And I think that he should be solid against a team like the Yankees, who have a strikeout rate of 23.2% against lefties over the last 2 weeks. That's 7th worst in baseball during that time. I know the Yankees do have a really good WRC plus, though, of 147, which makes this prop a little bit scary for me. But Shane, his numbers and skill, I think they should keep him in long enough to be able to hit this prop and go over. He's a solid ace. He's the ace of the Rays. So Shane McClanahan over 6.5 strikeouts, laying 16 cents for it. And then the other strikeout prop I like tonight is Luis Castillo over 5.5 strikeouts and minus 122. So you're only laying 22 cents. He's pitched a lot better this season than he did last season, and he's gone over 5.5 strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 starts. He has a great matchup against a shitty team in the Arizona Diamondbacks that have a strikeout rate of 25.8% against righties over the last 2 weeks, which is the 5th worst in the league. And they also have a absolutely horrific WRC plus of 66. Horrible. Last
LJ
night
doesn't
I
like
told
the
you I was on the
snakes.
Tyler. Yeah, it's not good. Last night I told you I was on the Tyler Mahle. I don't even know if that's how you say his name. Mahle.
I think it's Maley, but I honestly don't know. I've heard it pronounced multiple different ways.
You know what? It's okay because I hit
call
my
him
prop,
Tyler.
so it doesn't even
call him Big T.
This time. I'll just call him Ty Guy. Last night,
Ty Guy,
which by the way I gave out yesterday on the show, obliterated the Diamondbacks hitters. He had 12 strikeouts over 9 innings of work, and I think that Luis Castillo is going to be able to do that again tonight. Over 5.5 Ks. Forget about it.
I like that number actually.
About
I looked at him today.
So you're only laying.
He's definitely on the list. He's on the list. He's having a little bit of a bounce back. I like your cap.
He's having a way better year this year than he has last year. So I'm really
better of late
too.
You're on a nice little cap run right now.
I'm looking forward to seeing what those pitchers are able to do. Okay, something I'm really excited about, and I know Diane is excited about.
Wait. Time out.
Oh, did we forget your outs prop? Sorry.
It's okay. I almost forgot this one too. And the reason why I'm very excited about this one, have you ever watched The Price is Right? Have you ever watched that show?
Yes, of course. Of course.
So one of my favorite games on The Price is Right is called Plinko. And this guy's name sounds like Plinko. Connor Pilkington. That name rolls off the tongue too, just like
McClanahan.
Yeah, McClanahan, Pilkington. We're going to go under 14.5 outs on Connor. So there is a NRFI at Coors Field brewing tonight, but I don't like it because of Connor Pilkington, who I think is kind of a gas can. Now, he is fully stretched out. He's a rookie, making his first start ever at Coors Field. Maybe it's the first time he's ever been to Denver in his whole life. Who knows? He's very young. He has gone over in both of his last 2 starts, but they were both at home, and they were both against the A's and the Royals, who are bottom 10 teams in most categories, including the ones we talk about a lot, WRC+, BABIP, batting average balls in play, against lefties. Now, again, goes to Coors, first time on the road against the Rockies lineup. That is the second highest batting average of balls in play against lefties this year. They mash lefties, 339 average of balls that they put in play against left-handed pitching this year. Last night was a low-scoring game at Coors. I doubt we're going to get 2 straight low-scoring games at Coors. Last night was 4-3 in 10 innings. Bieber pitched into the 7th. The guards' bullpen is rested. They're ready for Plinko to drop a couple of bombs in the first inning to the Rockies. So I think I would bet frankly, the YRFI is probably juiced to high heaven, but I think there's going to be a run in the first inning in this game today. I'm not betting that. We're going to go Pilkington under 14.5 outs. Very fair price here. Even odds at DraftKings. So that's where I'm at. And those are my 3 props on the bottom of the screen for pitchers today. Pilko under 14.5 outs. Cortez, McClanahan over 1.5 walks. Hopefully we can do what we did last night, which is have a positive night with strikeout props. Good day for the show yesterday with baseball. Let's keep the momentum going.
Really great day for the show. We got Connor with the K. Now let's bring in Knox Balas with the K. Diane Knox Balas, that is, taking it to the course for the U.S. Open this weekend. It starts tomorrow. And Diane had some absolute red-hot fire picks. Rory won the Canadian Open last weekend. Diane, you're on fire. You are on fire.
I was so happy. I was so happy for so many reasons. Like, obviously, the absolute storm and chaos that had been Live Golf last week. And then Rory, who's been the PGA's golden boy, pretty much. Of course he won. But not only that, we had best final group in contention of Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, and Tony Finau. I mean, it was like the stuff that golf kings are made of on Sunday. And Rory did it. And I was honestly jumping for joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is your bankroll.
No, literally, so is your bankroll. Diane, I loved that pick last weekend. I know you're back on him again this weekend for the US Open. But before we do get into the US Open, I love a little drama. And I love when there is drama in the golf world. So obviously, there was the LIV event last weekend. The PGA guys had something to say about it, but these LIV guys are playing this weekend. How spicy do you think this drama is going to get? And is there going to be a little tension between the PGA golfers and the LIV golfers this weekend?
I think there has to be. I think that, in a perfect world, you would like to think that everyone's best friends. And of course, they're going to be high-fiving and hugging on the range. But,
yeah,
the media coverage we've seen, I get that, they're kind of playing up to this narrative. And we saw Kevin Na and Bryson and Patrick Reed hugging and high-fiving. And then there was apparently a clip where Jordan completely dissed them and walked straight past Kevin Na.
Wow.
But I'm like,
I love it. I love the drama. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
It reminds me of high school, Diane. That's like, you're in the cool crowd, or you join the band and then the cool kids don't want to talk to you anymore,
Yeah, but the thing that's funny is Ricky Fowler, he's an alternate. I think he's still second alternate for this week, and he played a practice round yesterday with Jordan Spieth. And there's rumors obviously circulating that Ricky might be going to LIV Golf. So I wondered about that. Justin Thomas was there too, who's been very outspoken and said this week in his press conference that he just feels a bit sad and disappointed that so many guys are now leaving. I like the fact that no one else has come out and said this week. I think there's a lot of respect, obviously, for the USGA and the US Open. So I think it's going to be put on ice until next week. And obviously this week, focusing on the third major of the year.
It's such a weird situation. I mean, right? I thought that they were going to be banned permanently from all events, but then I learned that the majors are governed separately. And that allows these players to be inserted in, and it's going to be fascinating. And one of my picks this week, which we'll get to later, is fading one of the LIV golfers in a matchup. But let's get to your picks, because your picks are where the money is, and that's why the people tune in. And again, Lauren kind of hinted to it. Rory again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, what's the back-to-back vibes with Rory in what is going to be a very difficult conditions, I'm sure, U.S. Open conditions at Brookline?
Well, the US Open is known for being the toughest test of golf, and it really tests all aspects of the game. The USGA set it up to be that way. I mean, they want the scoring to be relatively high. They don't want someone to run away with it. I mean, we saw Brooks Koepka go to 16 under, Bryson 13 under 2 years ago at Winged Foot. They don't want that. They want it to be, I would say around about 5-6 under par at the end of the week. Par means something at a US Open. And it's no surprise that when you look back at the last bunch of past US Open champions, John Rahm last year, Bryson, Gary Woodland, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, these are long hitters. These are guys that bomb it off the tee. However, looking at the country club at Brookline this week, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I've heard reports the fairways are very generous, but it's a tree-lined course. It's kind of quirky. There's a lot of blind shots, dog legs, small greens. So I think that it's not just going to be that bomb and gouge approach that many have kind of embraced when it comes to a US Open. I think there'll be a little bit more strategy in that sense required, and scrambling. The rough has always been very penal. I think the rough and the deep bunkers around the greens are going to cause a few problems this week, but I'm looking at total driving. So I'm looking at this combination stat of distance off the tee and accuracy. And it threw up some really interesting picks this week. But you're right, Lauren. I'm going for Rory 2 weeks in a row. And
Let's go.
Plus 1,100. I mean, we don't need to talk about why Rory might win the US Open. He's done it before. We saw the performance that he put on last week at the RBC Canadian Open. I think the only question mark, and he kind of joked about this at the end of last week, is always his short game. And it's not really going to be a case of overpowering the country club, but Rory hits such a powerful draw, and I think that shot shape could be quite advantageous around the course. So I'm on him again this week at 11-1.
I like it. You have some other long shots too, a 30-1, a 50-1, a 130-1, and then a 45-1. Walk me through your slate of guys that you think are going to win based on what we're going to be seeing at the Country Club at Brookline.
I was about to say it's looking spicy.
It's spicy out there this
love
week.
spice.
Yeah, Jared's going to love a couple of these. First of all, Matt Fitzpatrick at 30-1. We have to go there because the guy is playing the best golf of his entire career. Finished in a tie for 10th in Canada last week after starting great. Finished T5 at the PGA Championship. And out with that, he's had like another 4 additional top 10s this season. So he's definitely one of the favorites. Plus, in 2013, he won the US Amateur at the Country Club in Brookline. So he's going to have a little bit of extra confidence as he steps up this week. He's already talked about the fact that he loves this course. And he's staying with the same family that he stayed with in 2013. Which I
love that.
Just love that.
So superstitious. So these little things just play into the confidence. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely up there with the favorites. And then Cameron Young, Jared, how could we not pick Cameron Young? Major. We're still looking for his first win on the PGA Tour. And I mean, in his last 4 starts, he's had 3 top 3s. T3 at the PGA Championship. I think, it's pretty obvious this guy's going to have a really incredible career. Yeah. I think his first win is going to be a big one, and they don't really get much bigger than the US Open. So there was no way that I was missing out at 50-1 for Cameron Young this week.
Jason Kokrak, 130-1. I know this is one of your secret golf guys, but his form really fits this course, and we got to get at least in on one long shot, right?
Yeah, well, I was looking through the long shots, and I was really surprised that he was this long a shot at 130-1. But again, that total driving stat was it for me. So distance and accuracy, and he's sitting T8 on the PGA Tour right now. He's had 3 career wins, and what's been great is that for those wins, Kokrak is one of the longest hitters on tour, so he plays into that US Open model very easily. But for his wins, especially when he won the CJ Cup, he really had to scale back off the tee, and he clubbed down a lot and he played a lot more strategically. So he relied on that, which shows that, he's got the power off the tee, but he can play tactical golf when he needs to. And his putting has been really the key to him getting over the line and getting those 3 wins. He's an incredible putter. So recent form, I'm kind of taking that with a pinch of salt. And I was surprised that he was so long at 130-1. So he's definitely worth looking at for something.
And then you have Max Homa too, 45-1 odds. And I know you have a story about this guy. I would love to hear it. I love a good story.
I love this story so much, Diane.
Well, before we go there, I have to preface it by saying that obviously I'm pregnant, and I am like a big ball of hormone-fueled sentiment right now.
But it's all between the ears. That's what matters for these guys, and it translates to what you're about to say. It's a tremendous story. You tweeted earlier this week. It's such a good story.
Him and his wife, they're having a baby boy, and I think he's due around about the same time as our baby boy, October, November time. So already, he's obviously got all that going for him. Exciting time in his life. He's been playing great. Let's maybe that should come as the number one reason.
Yeah.
The Wells Fargo Championship a couple of weeks ago on Mother's Day, and if he won the US Open on Sunday, it's Father's Day. So I'm like, oh, that's not just the perfect. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. So
I love that so much.
Above everything else, away from my total heart pick, he's playing amazing golf again in the form of his career right now. So Max Homa at 45-1. I mean, he got me.
I love it. All right. I'm going to drop a few nuggets, and you're going to tell me if you like some of these or if you don't.
Okay.
First of all, the one thing that stood out to me about this tournament, 6 of the last 7 winners, it's called the US Open. 6 of the last 7 winners have been American. 86 of the 121 total winners have been American. So I think that's like the first place that I look at is, I know that has nothing to do with like golf. That's just like a random stat, but that's kind of where my brain starts. Xander Schauffele is the first person that came to my mind when I was scanning the board this week, and not to win it, because I don't think he's never won a major. So I mean, eventually I think he will, but it's hard to bet on that. But how about this? He hasn't finished lower than 7th in any of his last 5 US Opens, and he's 2-1 to be in the top 10 at MGM.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a bet that I have to make right there. You mentioned Max Homa, and I told you that I have a matchup that I'm fading one of the LIV golfers. How about Homa at a coin flip, -102 against Dustin Johnson, who, 100%. Again, has been awful this year. And then when I look at the matchups, the tee times, I want to target guys in the early groups on Thursday because I think from what I'm seeing now, obviously the Doppler radar, Lauren's favorite thing, could change.
I love the Doppler.
But it looks like there is going to be a 10-mile-an-hour boost in the wind gusts from the morning to the afternoon. And we saw that play a massive factor at the PGA Championship. There was a 2-stroke difference between the ones that teed off when the wind was calm compared to when the winds were howling at Southern Hills. And Homa's in the morning group on Thursday, and DJ's in the afternoon group on Thursday. So I think we're already getting – now it'll flip on Friday, and we'll see what happens, but we're already getting a nice little boost there. So I like Homa to beat DJ. Shane Lowry, how can we not bet on Shane Lowry this week, Diane, right? Like, we have to. Postage stamp size greens, it just suits this guy's eye perfectly with his scrambling. So Lowry in the top 10's +250. Of those, which is your, we have to bet on this guy or against this guy this week? I saw your eyes light up when I talked about Dustin Johnson there. Please explain to me that one.
Well, I am definitely staying away from DJ this week, and I would definitely pick Max over him. It's his putting. Like, he looks uncertain over every single putt, and he's really struggling that part of his game. I think he's near 200th on the PGA Tour this season in strokes gained putting. So it's such a vital part of the game, especially as you say on these greens at the country club. So I would definitely pick Homa. Xander Schauffele, love that too, because in that US Amateur in 2013, Xander played. Yes. I know the course has changed a little bit since then. 2019, there were some renovations done, but again, Xander has some course knowledge. One name that I want to talk about is Brooks Koepka, because you talked about obviously Xander's brilliant form at Opens. Brooks Koepka is an interesting one this week because, obviously went back-to-back US Opens. And there's been some equipment changes, which I thought was really interesting because he signed that big deal with Strixon, and it was very publicized. He said that the main commercial was for their ball. And this week he's been tinkering with his equipment. He's gone to a tailor-made driver and a Titleist ball. So Strixon have had to come out and say, we gave him permission to almost break his contract and play around, but he's gone back to the same driver that he used to win the PGA Championship. So we don't, and he just got married. We don't really know what to expect from Koepka.
That's a wild card right there. New equipment, got married. What's his hair? Did he look at a Backstreet Boy this week?
I know the last 4 US Opens, he's had 2 wins, 1 second place, and 1 top 4. So I know he's 40-1 to win this weekend, but it is kind of a wild card at this point. But a couple guys that you don't think are going to be wild cards. Yeah, I know. A couple guys you don't think are going to be wild cards. You have 2 top 5 finishes and a top 10 finish. Tell us a little bit more about those 3 guys.
Oh, Tony Finau. I'm like, please don't let me down with this. I've got him top 5 at +700. He had a great finish in solo seconds at the Canadian Open, sunk that 42-foot putt on 18. Like, what about an amazing end for him? But he's had 3 top 10s this season. They've all come in the last 6 weeks. So that tells me that something's changed in his game. He's got form, he's got momentum. And last week, he gained over 5 strokes on the field off the tee and 6 strokes putting. So if he can keep those 2 really important facets of his game going, then he could be dangerous this week. So top 5 for Finau +700. Brian Harman has a great track record at US Opens. He finished 2nd behind Koepka at Erin Hills. And last year he finished top 20 actually in 3 of the 4 majors. So a good major record. 3 top 10s this season. He's playing well. He's 12th in driving accuracy. Excuse me. So Top 10 for Brian Harman at plus 900. I like that. And then there's no way that we can go through the show without talking about Cam Smith, because when you look at approach, scrambling, and putting, he is number one on the tour by an absolute mile. We saw that at the Players' Championship. He is phenomenal on and around the greens. Cam Smith obviously came close. He's come close a couple of times at the Masters, and there's no way that we could overlook him this week. I don't think he's going to win. That might come back and bite me. But again, a top 5 for Cam Smith. I'm all over that. And we got him at plus 450 for the top 5.
All right, let's close things out with my favorite bet in golf, which is the first round leader bets. And we have a fun name for this new segment. If you ain't first, you're last.
All right, Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby. All right, Diane, these are so fun because, and again, we're targeting the guys in the early morning group on Thursday. I've got 5 names that you've heard of and you're going to like, and then I'm going to give you one that is going to blow your mind. Patrick Cantlay, 30-1. Cameron Young, obviously, 50-1. Neiman, 50-1. Homa, 55-1. Davis Riley, of course, 65-1. All of these guys tee off in the morning group on Thursday. All of them are top 20 in first-round scoring average this PGA season. Love it. Lock it in. Sprinkle on all. Now, I'm going for your title this week. I'm taking a shot at a 250-1 long shot for a first-round leader. And let me tell you about my friend Brandon Matthews. I'm sure you've heard of him because you know everyone in this freaking PGA world. He just secured – he's 27 years old. He's got some experience to him. He's not your average youngster. He just secured his PGA Tour card last week by birdieing the final hole on the Korn Ferry Tour. He is on cloud 9 this week. And, oh, by the way, that 2013 U.S. Amateur you mentioned at Brookline, he was a quarterfinalist in that U.S. Amateur. And he is massive off the tee. He drives it on Cameron Champ's level. He can drive the par 4s that are drivable this week. And, again, he's got that early tee time on Thursday. 250-1. Give me a slice of the first-round lead, Brandon Matthews. Let's go. We're coming for your Martin Laird title this week, Diane.
If he's leading, if he's first-round leader, I'm going to get you a T-shirt made up saying, Brandon Matthews, not your average youngster.
Not your average youngster.
I love that. Yes, available on Pickswise.com after he wins. We'll see what happens.
That's how we close the segment, Diane, baby. U.S. Open. Much. Let's go.
Diane, thank you so much. We're rooting for Rory in a back-to-back tournament win. Woo. We'll see what happens heading into this weekend. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the U.S. Open.
Thank you. Diane Knox Balas. Love her pick. She's been red hot. 2 teams that have been red hot, the Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they are playing in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final tonight in Denver, Colorado at Ball Arena. This is the final that everybody wanted and somewhat expected. Colorado right now is the favorite to win the Cup and also the favorite to win Game 1, and I'm riding that home with the Avs 3-way money line, but I'm saving it for my best bet of the day. So we'll get into some other bets. I already have some series bets. I know you do too. We're both on a 7-game series. Both of these teams are phenomenal. The Avs are one of the best offenses in the National Hockey League. The Tampa Bay Lightning have the best goaltender in the National Hockey League, and Andrei Vasilevsky. So we both have 7-game series bet, plus 210. On DraftKings, I got that. I think the Avs are winning the series 4-3. I got that at plus 410 on FanDuel. So I'm going to do that. You also have an NHL futures column on Pickswise.com. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, please head to Pickswise.com today. Before you place any bets for the series, obviously watch this show and back it up with what we're reading about, what we're writing about the futures market, which is interesting. Yeah. In general, because of some, I would say, one opportunity on Steven Stamkos. You heard Matt Bernier yesterday give Stamkos out at 15-1. We found him at 30-1 over at the Westgate. I am putting a half a unit on that. It is a little bit of a protection against the Vasilevsky and Makar positions I currently have. Mm-hmm. And I'm with you on the 7-game series. I think that's, to me, it's a fun bet to make. It's only a half a unit for me, but it's plus 210, so it'll net out over a unit if it hits. And I think that's what I'm rooting for in this series, is for it to go 7, for it to be.
We all want to see more playoff hockey, Jared. We all want to see.
Hey, this
more
is it.
hockey.
We're gonna be, high and dry for a few months without no NHL. But sadly, I think that is where our alignment on this series ends.
Our best bet of the days may be on the opposite sides. And you know what? We might have to do a swag bet. So we'll see what happens here. I'm going to give out 2 more bets before we get into follow the money, because we wanted to kind of check in on where people are betting this first game and where people are betting this series. It is really interesting to see how the lines have moved. I'm not much of an under better. I am betting the under here in this spot. Now, Tampa has won with 2 or 3 goals in 6 of their last 9 playoff wins, and the under is 9-1 in the Bolts' last 10 games. And a lot of that has to do with Andrei Vasilevskiy and what he's been able to do between the pipes. So this is not even about just his postseason numbers. In his last 11 elimination games, he's 11-0, which is pretty interesting to see. He is 1-3-1 in 5 games against Colorado with a 3.41 goals against average and an 77 save percentage. But his postseason save percentage this year has just been absolutely phenomenal. So you look at his postseason numbers over the last 3 years. 46-19 straight up, 1.99 goals against average, and a 93.1 save percentage in the postseason over their last 3 years in their cup run. He has experience in the Stanley Cup final over the last couple of years, and he knows what to expect. So I look at the Avs, and I know that they've been playing some loose teams with the Preds, the Blues, the Oilers. The Lightning have done a really good job of slowing down elite offenses. We saw that when they played the Maple Leafs. We saw that when they played the best offensive team in the National Hockey League. They were averaging about 4.5 goals per game in the Florida Panthers, and they swept them in that series. There's no Kadri for the Avs, so the depth could be challenged a little bit on the offensive side. I think we're going to see some low-scoring games. I think Andrei Vasilevskiy is going to be able to shut down the Avs offense. I think the Avs are still going to be able to find the back of the net, but not at the rate that they have been against teams like the Preds, where they played a second-string goaltender, against the Blues, where they knocked out Binnington and played Villahuso, and then the Oilers, where you're playing against a 40-year-old and Mike Smith. Both teams are playing extremely, extremely disciplined hockey, too, and a lot of the times we're seeing a lot of these goals on the man advantage, playing in the power play. Now, Colorado has only had more than 3 penalties in 1 game over their last 10 games, so they're averaging 3 or less penalty kills per game. Tampa Bay has only been shorthanded 5 times over the last 3 games. Now, if the Tampa Bay Lightning get the lead, they're going to pack it in on defense. That's their game. That's what they do. 2 of the best defensive groups in the National Hockey League. Look at the Avs, Cale Makar, Devon Toews, etc. on the blue line. Goals are going to be a little harder to come by, and the way Vasilevsky's been playing and seeing the puck, I just think this under is a really good spot here, and you're only laying 5 cents for it at -105. I got that on FanDuel. And you know me, if I can bet the over, I'm betting the over. If I'm betting the under, it means I feel really, really good about it. The other thing that I'm sprinkling, I'm only putting a half unit on it, is Cale Makar, anytime goal at +250. Now, he's playing in his 50th career playoff game tonight in his 3rd season in the National Hockey League. And 29. It's technically like his 3rd. It's not even his 3rd full season, because he had a weird whatever. He played like in the 2020 bubble season, and 2019 he came in the postseason. So this is technically his 3rd full season. But he's so good. In his 50th Stanley Cup playoff game, he's had 53 points so far through 49 games. Only 2 defensemen ever in the history of the National Hockey League have had more points through their first 50 NHL games. That's Bobby Orr and Brian Leetch. Those are 2 really good National Hockey League defensemen that he's in a category with. This year, he has 5 goals, 17 assists, 22 points in his 14 games played. He takes this Avs team and puts them on his back. He's crafty. He's a great skater. He's a leader. He's going to want to get them going. And the Avs are really good at taking away a netminder's eyes, i.e. Gabe Landeskog, one of the best guys at getting in front of a goaltender and taking away his eyes. That is the way that these Avs are going to score. But I think by them taking away Vasilevsky's eyes, it could open up some good opportunities from the point for Cale to get one of his like nasty wrist shots that he has. So I like Cale Makar anytime goal at +250. Not a full unit, sprinkling it, but he's one of these guys that can get this Avs team going. And he's a younger guy. I don't think he's going to be rusty coming out, even though the Avs have had 9 days of rest. I feel good about him getting an anytime goal in this game. So those are my 2 bets for this game. Obviously, I have my series bet and then my Avs to win 4-3 at plus 410. And then I have one more, which is a side bet, but that's my best bet of the day. So I'm not going to talk about it yet. But before we get to our best bets of the day, let's talk about following the money, because there's been some interesting line movement here when it comes to the Avs taking on the Lightning here in game 1. Jared, tell me more.
Follow the money, baby. So there, and again, reverse line movement is like a unicorn. It's like a mythical creature. Sometimes people see it. Sometimes it is real. Sometimes it's fake. Sometimes it matters. Sometimes it doesn't. I tend to ignore it on nights and games where it's not a big game. It's a random baseball game on a Tuesday night, and it's not getting an elevated amount of handle. I tend to pay more attention to it when it's a prominent game, especially a game that we've had a lot of buildup to. And there's been multiple days, I think 4 days of buildup to this game. That is when the reverse line movement, in my eyes, when the market has longer to settle and it's a higher profile game, is worth mentioning. This is a pretty obvious bout of reverse line movement in this game. I'm seeing most of the handle come in on Colorado. And of course, it's deserving. They are the favorite for a reason. But the sharp money that we've discussed, that I've talked to some sharp bettors and also some bookmakers, are all kind of leaning towards Tampa Bay being better equipped to win this series and to win this game tonight. And that's why we're seeing the line move down towards Tampa Bay, despite the fact that MGM's reporting 63% of the handle on the Avalanche money line. But the Avs go from minus 175 to minus 160. And the Lightning get the shorter end of the stick from plus 145 now to plus 135. You can still find a plus 140 out there in the market. I was able to find one. And that's kind of where I'm leaning in the series and for this game tonight, more than a lean. I would say I'm pretty much there already. And I guess the question that I have for you is, I know you, is the Avs exposure that you are putting tonight on the board, is it more head or heart? I think it's a fair question.
It's head. No, it is really head. They are so good at home this season. I think that one of the biggest things that people are worried about, well, 2 of the biggest things that people are worried about. Number 1, they haven't faced a solid goaltender and like Andrei Vasilevsky all postseason. They faced a lot of second-string goalies. They faced a 40-year-old Mike Smith. And I think number 2, the rust factor, having 9 days off. I honestly think this rest has been better for the team because guys like Darcy Kemper are coming back healthy, ready to go. Nazem Kadri had surgery on his finger that from the check that he had in game 3 from Evander Kane. And they said he's unlikely to play in the postseason. The NHL posted a photo. Nazem Kadri had surgery, unlikely to play the rest of the postseason. And Nas commented under it, "We'll see," with the eyeball emojis. So I think that these 9 days off gave them a little bit more time to rest and recover. And I don't necessarily think they're going to be as rusty as people think that they will be. They're a young team. It's basically a young, fast team going up against an experienced team that has been there before the last 2 years. But from what I know is the fact that young guys, they don't really get as tired. Like, I think about the fact when I was 23 years old, I could go. Now that I'm almost 30, I'm like, shit, I'm tired. But like, these guys are young guys.
But it's kind of the opposite here, though. It's the opposite.
Team Landeskog, he's turning 30 this year. Eric Johnson's still a little bit older. But a majority of the guys on this team, the Cale Makars of the world, I mean, this is a younger team. So I honestly think that rest could have helped them a little bit. Where on the other side, the flip side, when we saw game 1 and 2 of Tampa Bay taking on the Rangers, they're a little bit of an older team, a little bit more experienced team. That rest could, it helps them a little bit, but they also come out a little bit rusty. I just think these young guys are not going to come out rusty, especially on home ice, the way that they played at Ball Arena this season. There was one time during the regular season that they won 19 consecutive home games. They love playing at Ball Arena.
I could not disagree more with your take on this series. I honestly, I'm literally on the opposite of I think,
and that's okay. That is okay.
One of the things that I think you're misinterpreting, though, is it's the opposite with Tampa. Tampa had all of the rest before the Ranger series because they swept the Panthers. The Rangers had the game 7 right away, played game 1.
Yeah.
And it was the Rangers, the team with less rest, that was the sharper team. That's Tampa
No,
Bay
I know.
tonight. They've only had 4 days off. The Avs have had 9 days off. So you're kind of disproving your point by saying the Avs would benefit from the rest because they're young. And I'm confused overall. Listen, I think the Avs are a worthy favorite, no doubt. But every smart, sharp person that I respect this week has told me they are favored by too much in this series and in this game tonight. And that's why we've seen the price deflate despite the fact that the public is betting Colorado. That's again, that doesn't mean Colorado's going to lose the game. Doesn't mean Tampa Bay is going to win the game. I'm just telling you kind of the sharp, square dichotomy I'm hearing from people this week. Maybe Tampa Bay comes out tonight and they look like absolute dog shit because they're tired. Very possible.
But the altitude is going to be a big factor for an older team.
That could be a factor.
Teams have a hard time coming in the ball arena and playing there. Yeah,
that could absolutely
and the fact
be
that the Avs have had 9 days off to work to recover from the injuries, because there was a lot of injuries coming off of that last round. I think that they're going to come out and be sharp. And just being around that team for the last 3 years, I know them, and like I know how they play, and I know how they come out. It's like almost an inside look a little bit. So you know what? Like, I'm going against the Sharps and I'm going against you. And I think the Avs are going to win tonight. And I'm taking their 3-way money line. And that's my best bet of the day. But before we get into our best bets, let's go to Pickswise.com. What is our 3-star play of the day?
Let's take a look. I was so distracted by my crazy 250-1 bet in golf. I had the sheet. Oh, we actually have a horse racing bet today that we can give out. Martin Pennington. Churchill Downs race 8. No 3 stars on the baseball card today or on the hockey card today. I see a parlay out there. And it's the Churchill Downs race 8, Martin Pennington. 3-star ponies on the board today for your Pickswise 3-star. So go check it out. And also go read my column on the Lightning and the Avs in the futures market. Check it out. Pickswise.com. Yeah. Go right now.
We're on opposite sides for our best bets of the day. I'll let you go first with your Lightning money line because I feel like I've been talking a lot about hockey, and then I'll go.
You want to have the last word, is what Lauren wants.
Yeah, obviously.
Listen, I'm coming for the crown tonight. I'm coming for it. This is game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. You throw the analytics, you throw all that BS out the window because, hey, Lightning, it's time to shock the world. God, that's such a bad, corny joke. I deserve to be kicked off the show for that. The biggest Justin.
I'm not even laughing at that.
I'm not getting any positive reactions from Lauren after I just trashed her Avalanche pick. Listen, the biggest factor in this game is rest versus rust. That and we use that cliche all the time, but how often has Colorado or any team in the postseason gotten 9 days off? We've seen it happen in this postseason. We saw Tampa Bay really struggle in the first 2 games of their series against the Rangers. And that was at the Garden. These are at home for Colorado. You have to factor that into the equation. And Lauren did a great job in expressing how good the Avs have been at home this year. But when I look at a hockey game at its core, and we're in the postseason, I value the intangibles and the goaltending a lot more than I value the things that Colorado brings to the table, which is speed and youth and high scoring and up and down and great play from, red line to red line. But I think Tampa Bay does better in the neutral zone and does better with slowing games down, and they're much, much better in net. So when I look at a game that is a sizable underdog, getting less of the money, with the line moving in their direction in a high-profile game with Colorado not ever playing in this spot before. This is the first time they've gotten to this summit where the Lightning have been there before. I think they're going to struggle early in this game. And I think Tampa Bay is going to steal game 1 or game 2. Here's the strategy here. We are betting Lightning money line game 1 tonight. If it loses, we're going to come back on it in game 2 because I think they're going to split one of these 2 games in Colorado. And they're going to be dogs in both. So if we go 1-1, we'll finish up. We'll start the process tonight with Tampa Bay game 1. I got plus 140. I believe at the Westgate was the best price available. And again, you throw out all the stats and the analytics and all that bullshit. This is the Cup final, and it's the intangibles that I value more. And I think Tampa Bay has those, at least early in the series right now. They've got the experience. They've got the pedigree. And I think they've got the edge in net. And I think they're going to take this game tonight.
You said it's the Stanley Cup Finals. It's something that the Avs have wanted and like been grinding for the last 4 years. I think when you're a team that is grinding for someone for 4 consecutive years and disappointed the last 3, losing in 2 game 7s and 1 game 6 in the second round, you're going to take advantage of your opportunity there. And yeah, rest versus rust could be a thing. The Avs are young. The Lightning are old. I think that the rest versus rust thing can be thrown out the window here at this point for this game. Also, the fact that this game is at altitude and you have an older team, yeah, granted an experienced team in the Tampa Bay Lightning, but an older team, older lungs playing at altitude. This is a tough place to play. Andrei Vasilevskiy has been phenomenal this postseason, right? He's been 46 and 19 straight up, 1.99 goals against average, 93.1 save percentage over the last 3 years in the postseason. Against the Avs, though, throughout his career, 1-3-1 in his last 5 games against Colorado, 3.41 goals against average, 87.7 save percentage in those games. He hasn't played well against the Colorado Avalanche. Darcy Kemper, healthy. He's going to be starting in net tonight, even though Frankie's played well. Darcy Kemper, 4-2 with a 2.33 goals against average and 92% save percentage against Tampa in his last 6 against Tampa. I know Colorado is money in game 1s in the playoffs. They've won all 3 of their game 1s so far at home. They went 3-0 straight up, 2-1 against the spread so far this postseason. They've also outscored the opposition 18-11 in game 1 so far this year. Tampa has lost 2 of their 3 game 1s this postseason and outscored 11-2 in those 3 games. It worries me a little bit that the Avs have had 9 days off, just a little bit. But honestly, I think that they're going to be ready. They're not going to be rusty, and they're going to be led by guys like Nathan MacKinnon, who has literally been so hungry for this moment, for this opportunity, and knowing the type of leader that Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Gabe Landeskog, Cale Makar, who's playing in his 50th career Stanley Cup playoff game, 53 points so far in those games, they're going to find a way to be able to take advantage of Andrei Vasilevskiy, and they've done it before. The fact that he's only 1-3-1 in his last 5 games against the Colorado Avalanche says something to me. And the fact that they're not playing at home, they played rough after having 8 days of rest when they played at MSG. I think playing away from home is a big factor here. And I also think that special teams could be a really big difference in this series. The Avs power play has been phenomenal, and they are the #1 scoring team in the playoffs this year at 4.64 goals per game. Now, I think Vasilevskiy is going to step up his game a little bit, being able to limit the Avs and their offensive production so far this postseason. We might see a little bit regression, obviously, in terms of how many goals they're scoring per game, which is why I like the under. But I really do think the Avs are going to be able to take advantage here. The fact that they've been able to take advantage in all of their game 1s so far, it's not going to be any different tonight. Doing it in front of a home crowd at altitude after having 9 days off, they're going to be hungry, and they're going to come out and be tough and fight for everything that they got because they've been working for it the last 4 years. And it's a mental state. Mentality, Jared, says something about this team. I'm telling you.
They're not going to let you back into Tampa after they watch this show. The entire city of Tampa is going to embargo you from traveling back there.
That's
after
okay.
The show.
You know what?
I can't argue with how good Colorado is, but I do think you're undervaluing the Lightning in this series. I do. And we'll see.
I might be.
I think you're undervaluing the fact that 2-time defending champs, like you're basically treating them like they're like, they're going to go into Colorado.
I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm just saying I've been around the Avs and I know how hungry they are and how much they've been working.
I'm sure both teams are hungry. It's the Stanley Cup final.
Well, yeah, obviously. Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll see what happens tonight. With that, that's it for us today, guys. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith. I'm Lauren Jabara. Best of luck tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.